Okay, it's 1:30. Let's get started. Okay. Hi everyone. Welcome to Trainer 4 of Accounting Services and Financial Reporting and Research Planning and Budget Joint Training Series. This is the last one. Thank you for joining us. There is my slide. Okay, so today for the Accounting Services and Financial Reporting team, ASFR, there's me. Hi, it's Winnie.
How's everyone? I'm Jenny.
I'm Strella.
And I'm Oliver Vela, representing London office.
Okay. So today the slides we made them kind of in mind to provide them as a reference for all you folks joining us today. So that'll be made available to you guys later. So we're not going to spend too long on these slides. We're just gonna move on. So TitanInsights. What is TitanInsights? Okay, so that is a finance data warehouse. In our words, a finance data warehouse. The data warehouse is like an online repository for information. In our case, the finance data warehouse is, pulling data from our system, which is the Common Financial System, or CFS. So this is how you would see, any of the transactions going on with your departments and so on. You can go into TitanInsights to view, filter, and search for information without having to, ask us directly for it. You can look it up yourselves. So please keep in mind that this is refreshed nightly. So whatever data you see today would be as of last night. Like any transactions you see today in TitanInsights as of today is pulled from as of last night. Okay, so there's a screenshot of where you can access it in your Titan online portal. And we have a link on the side here for the IT information technology knowledge base. They have a lot of really nice TitanInsights screen step guides. So take a look at that at your own time. So if you've been around for a while, you might remember the letters OBIE. So OBIE is our previous data warehouse, and it's being retired end of this year, around December 2025 or like January 2026 per IT. So TitanInsights is kind of stepping into its place. So, you know, you can still use OBIE until December 2025, sometime around then. They're going to sync the data to both data warehouses for this time being. It's going to run concurrently. But just know that OBIE is going away. So this is, your perfect chance to start using TitanInsights and get used to it. Okay. So if you don't have access to TitanInsights, you're going to have to submit an a finance access request form in Adobe Experience Manager. So that's that. The next couple slides are mostly kind of navigation for ASFR slides. Today we're going to do a live demo at the end. We're going to go over actuals detail, revenue expense summary report, chargebacks report, and the liability accounts dashboards. So we're not really going to get into it, but this is going to be available to you guys to look at your own time. So we're just going to go straight to resource planning and budgets slides.
Thanks, Winnie. So do I just tell you to advance slide?
Yeah.
Okay. So the reports that budget is going to be displaying for today primarily revolve around position budgeting. And what you see displayed in front of you is the representation of the core operating budget for the university. It's over $500 million. And as you can see from the distribution, that the majority of costs associated with the university's core operating budget relates to compensation benefits or the cost of our people. We are institution of higher learning, and the primary service that we provide to our students is course instruction. Next slide, please. So in thinking about managing our position budgets, one of the main things that we want to do is to ensure that our cost of personnel, our ongoing personnel costs, is aligned with our base ongoing budget. And what do I mean by base ongoing budget? By that, I mean the budget that a unit or university understands to be their budget for this year, and continuing into future years unless there is an adjustment to your base budget. So if you have a base budget for your department of a couple $100,000, unless there are any changes to your base budget, you can expect to have that same budget available to you during the next fiscal cycle after year end. The majority of employees are considered regular appointments. So there are some employees who have temporary appointments. The reports again try to show a relationship where budget analysis analysts can determine whether there is sufficient base ongoing budget they can expect from year to year to support their ongoing personnel costs. And the way that the position reports work is that they project personnel costs based on the salary of the current incumbent. And that's kind of a fine distinction, a little bit of nuance that we want to get across. There's a distinction one can make between a position and the current incumbent, and the current incumbent may through a variety of different HR related actions, their ongoing costs may change. So it's the report looks at the data currently available at HR for what that individual is currently making and projects that forward through the end of the fiscal year. Next slide. So pretty simply, there's a monthly value for our monthly employees assigned in HR. That value is annualized, multiplied by 12 to get that annualized base rate, and that's the value that you see in a lot of the reports that we're going to be showing a little bit later. And last slide is just a preview of 3 of the reports that are in the budget management dashboard that we'll be demoing today. I think these are probably the good entry points into the budget management dashboard. The first one, baseline position budget, just lines up your base budget by type of salary count with the annualized cost of employees that are charged against that base budget. The second report, baseline position budget, all employees, takes not just the employees who have regular appointments, but also employees who have temporary appointments or appointments with a finite time span. And then the last report is the employee salary projection. For some of you who have been on campus for many years, you may remember a report that was previously ran out of HR called the SEP report. And it's very similar type report. That's it.
Thank
Go
you,
ahead and demo
Oliver.
slides.
So at the end of the slides, there's gonna be some quick tips. We're not gonna go over it, but this is gonna be made available to you guys. So, so yeah, these are just some. So to be honest, TitanInsights is new to us too. So these are just kind of things that we thought maybe would be helpful for you guys who are also new to it. So this is our last training session for our joint collaboration here. But feel free to join us starting next Thursday through December 11th, every Thursday for a 30-minute block where financial services will be available for an open lab to answer your questions. Any questions you have, research planning and budget will be there, ASFR will be there, our friends in AP and contract procurement, and so on will be there too. So, feel free to join us for those next week. And as always, feel free to subscribe to accounting updates, submit inquiry forms to research planning and budgets. And we're just gonna jump straight into the live demo from here. Let's see. Change this to okay. So you should be seeing my Titan online portal here. So TitanInsights, you can find a button for it here in the Titan online box. So this is it. It's also here on the left side if you scroll all the way down. If you don't have it, that means you're going to want to submit an ARF an access request form to get access to it. So, oops, gotta log in. Okay. So actually, IT has a lot. This is the Screen Steps knowledge base guide I was talking about earlier. That IT made very, very useful. They have basics and overview. TitanInsights actually not exclusively to finance information. Here's budget. There's also other information here that we're not going to go into. But they have a small section here for revenue expense that our team has looked it over, made sure all the information is accurate on there. But yeah, this would be a useful guide for you guys. Also, IT's been doing some trainings in the last month or two that have been very helpful. They just did one for revenue expense summary this week. They recorded it, so it should be available in Titan Training Hub eventually. They have one coming up next week for purchasing dashboard, which we won't go over, but if you're interested in that, feel free to register for that. And I think they will have more trainings in the future, so keep an eye out for IT trainings. So I click the TitanInsights button. This is your homepage for TitanInsights. Don't be scared by the URL. We're not on Amazon.com. We're not buying shoes. Amazon has a lot of resources for everyone now, like for like data and all that. So they're just hosting it for us basically. So look on the left-hand side here, we have a bunch of sections and buttons. So we have the home, favorites, dashboard, and shared folders. If you go to dashboards, you're gonna find a lot of dashboards listed here. It's kind of a little overwhelming, right? Basically everything you have access to is right here. What I like to do is I actually like to go to shared folders so that I can like narrow down by folder where it's gonna be for the dashboards that ASFR is gonna be covering today. They're all primarily in the finance folder and they're broken down to further folders. I'm gonna start off with revenue expense summary dashboard. So I'm gonna go here. You could add these to your favorites so that you could just go here and just grab it from there like this. I'm just gonna go straight in there. Oops. Okay. So this is your revenue expense summary. So a nice thing about this is that whatever you were working on last time you were in TitanInsights, in this, each dashboard, whatever you're working on, it kind of saves the settings for you. I don't have any here. I just reset it right before we got in here. But if I were to look up something and then close it and come back in, it's gonna save it. If you're like, okay, I was looking at that last time, I don't need to look at it this time. You can go up here to reset to original dashboard. It resets all your filters and everything, so you don't have to manually reset each one. So this is the revenue expense CFS dashboard, and these are the reports you can access on here. Revenue expense summary, all university benefits pool, budget detail, actuals detail, encumbrance detail, pre-encumbrance detail, and available balance. Today, we're just going to be going over revenue expense summary and actuals detail for the ASFR side. This first section up here, you're going to see fiscal year. You can filter whichever fiscal year you want. If you want to look at 2016, you can look at 2016. Accounting period. So accounting period 4 is for October 2025 for this fiscal year. It's not the calendar, it's not April. So we go by the accounting periods are based on our fiscal year, basically. So fiscal year starts in July, that's period 1, ends in June, that's period 12. We have fund here. So by default, everything is selected. You could unselect it all and you can like scroll and find what you're looking for, or you could just type in. I don't think it's not case sensitive, so you just type in to find what you're looking for and filter it if you need to. You have accounts here. Again, same thing. Let's just put 58090 for other operating, and I want to see general services too, so I'm gonna do that. Actually, I didn't want to see supplies. 60825 for general supply. So that's how you would filter your accounts. You can do that for most of these other filters as well. There's program, class, project, division, subdivision, college, master department, and department. So you have a lot of options here. So that's just one thing I want to point out for accounting services, like accounting information basically. If it is an expense account, which starts with a 6, the normal balance for that would be positive or debit. If it is a revenue account, starts with a 5, regular balance for that would be negative or credit. Okay. So I'm just gonna go ahead and reset everything. I have some presets that I'm created with a bookmark here just for our training purposes. So I'm just gonna load those right now. So here's a handy tip. If you set up some filters that you regularly use and you don't want to keep setting them every single time you're in here, you can add it as a bookmark and save it here and just load it up. So that's an option right there. Okay, so we have this right here. This is currently we're in review. We're in the view for a revenue expense summary report. There's a couple of options here. There's revenue expense summary with project to date and revenue expense summary without all university benefits pool. It really depends on, what you need. Most of you are probably gonna be okay just using this view. One important thing I want to mention here is that this dashboard, when you're accessing it, there is department security. So you can only really see what you have access to, like what you've been granted access to for your for the purpose of your job. I'm an ASFR, I can see everything. So that's why I filtered it down so that we're not looking at everyone's data. We're just gonna narrow it down to a little bit data to look at. Right here we have, so this is like the column headings. So you're always going to have baseline budget for this report, baseline budget, revised budget, current period actuals, current year actuals, encumbrance, pre-encumbrance, and budget balance available. The ones on the left here, to the left of baseline budget, you can change them up. We have some options here. You could change to different criteria to look at. You can edit it. You can change the order of it. Like, oh, I want to see account first. You can put account first if you want. Just gonna reset it. But yeah, so that's up to you. You can do whatever. You can make them all account if you want. You don't want to look at any other data. You can change it all to accounts or whatever you want to put in. Okay. So here we have our data. This is all pulled from Common Financial System, CFS. So you see these blue amounts here. Those you can drill down. You can pull a drill down report. So if I want to do a drill down for this $29.48 recurring actuals, you just click. It's left click, and it's going to give you a menu with all the options you can click. You can pull the drill down report for. So it doesn't matter where in the row you click, it's going to give you all options. Like if I want to look at encumbrance, I can click it. It's going to open a new window. There's no data because it's 0. But you could always look at it even if there's no data in there. But if I were to look at, so this is current year actuals. If I click current year actuals, it's going to load this up. Okay, so another tip here, I'm using Google Chrome right now because it's the most compatible with the reports in revenue expense summary, because if you are using Firefox like I normally do, you're not going to be able to find the scroll bar at the bottom. There is a lot of data and a lot of columns in this dashboard. So Google Chrome is the most compatible, basically. So here you go. This is all the detailed transactions for what makes up that $29.48 on your summary report. So there's that. Okay, so we see the column here on the right, budget balance available. That stands for BB. Well, that's, if you ever heard BBA, that's what BBA stands for, budget balance available. So there's a formula to calculate that, which is revised budget minus current year actuals minus encumbrance minus pre-encumbrance. So if we're looking at my data here right now, that would be 7,000 minus $587.54. Oh, I put the wrong one. $546.97. 0 for encumbrance, 0 for encumbrance, and you get a budget balance available of $6,453.03. So yeah, if your BBA is negative, that means sorry, little brain fart here. If your BBA is negative, that means you're overspent. If you have a positive BBA, that means you have funds available to spend. Okay. So that's the gist of revenue expense summary. We're going to go over to actual detail now. So I'm going to click here. Okay. So some of the fields you select on the previous dashboard will carry over to this one. It's not 1 for 1. Sometimes the accounting period might just be 4 to 4, which is the default. But it looks like I did it correctly this time. So so this is the actual detail between accounting periods report. So the revenue expense summary, you're pulling data as of period 4 October. So it's like basically year to date for most of those columns. For actual detail report, you can select which periods you want to look at. If you only want to look at period 4, you could look at only period 4. If you want to go to a previous year and look at period 1 through 12, you can look at period 1 to 12. So this is up to you. So unlike the summary report, this is the details report. So it's going to show you each transaction and each line basically. So a couple of fields that we don't have on the other one is account type. You only want to look at revenues, only look at expenditures, you can filter by that. We also have account categories. So account category is basically like the first 3 digits of an account. It's going to kind of identify what group it belongs to. If you want to look at, for example, travel, the account category for travel would be 606. All travel accounts begin with 606. If you are looking at miscellaneous operating expenses, 660, and so on. So that's the account category. So yeah, so this is your actual detail report. I have this pulled for period 1 to 4 for my department, 1005. So you can see all here, and yeah, there's a lot of columns. So use Google Chrome because it won't give you any issues here. So your actuals are over here, your period, fiscal year. If you ever see something in here, you're not sure what it is, take a look here at document source. It's gonna kind of give you a hint at where to go. If you go to our website, accounting services and financial reporting website, and you go here, finance data warehouse TitanInsights. I'm gonna copy the link for you guys in the chat. So you go down here, you're gonna find a table with all the document sources that you might come across, and it's gonna give you a hint of what you're looking at here, so you know who to contact, for more information. But that's basically it. So if you want to, sometimes it's a little hard to look at the data in here because of all the scroll bars. So what I like to do a lot of time is I like to go up here, right here, find this 3 dots here, click that, and then you're going to export to CSV or Excel, whichever your preference is. If you download a CSV, make sure to save in Excel. You make any format changes or formula, so you'll get download here. If you miss your shot and you're like, oh, maybe you download a lot of things and you don't remember which one it is anymore, maybe I downloaded, I have multiple in here, and you're like, I don't know which one I was looking at. You can just re-download it really quickly from here. Click here, export, do export, and it's going to show you everything you've all your exports as of the current session that you have TitanInsights open for. Okay. The only last thing that I'm going to show you is that the share right here. If you click share and share this view, you could take this link and give it to someone else. Like, hey, do you want to look at this data? Like, you just want to show them the data. And it's gonna have all your filters already set. You don't have to go and look. You don't have to go, okay, filter it by this department, this fund. It's gonna be done for them. The only thing is that they would have to have the dashboard permissions to see it. If I sent this to someone who doesn't have access to like 105, they're not gonna see it. But that's it for our revenue expense CFS dashboard. So I'm gonna hand it over to Jenny now, who's gonna go over a different dashboard.
Thank you, Jenny. No, sorry. Thank you, Winnie. And here's me again, Jenny. Let me start share my screen. Can you see my screen, everyone?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So now I'm gonna talk about the JPEG dashboard on TitanInsights. So let's take a quick look on the navigation. So if you go here from home, go to share folder under finance section, and then go to my queries. As Winnie mentioned earlier, you can add the style as make this dashboard as your favorite. You can see in this section, I already added as my favorite. And then under my queries again, go here to see the JPEG dashboard on the TitanInsights. But before we go into detail of these transactions, let's take a quick look of a quick review of what's in the JPEG. So let's go to our accounting services website. I have it here. And then under service form and policy, you go to services. And then that's really the first pop-up here is JPEGs. And what is JPEGs? Technically, this is when the service providers provide goods and services to other campus units for reason of cost advantages and convenience. So a JPEG is an expenditure made by Caltech Fullerton or on behalf of another university department. So technically, just understand JPEG is when the service provider provide their services like postage, printing, parking, telephone, and then they're gonna charge the other department. We just call it like recharge. And then let's go back to TitanInsights. And then for me, this is how I set up my dashboard before. But now when you go here, I would like to click reset button here. So it's bring everything just by default setup of TitanInsights. And this is period 4 to 4. Let's change it from period 1 to 12. So we see all the transactions. So here, I would say like most of the scenario we experience, like people would wonder what's in the COP here, what's in the journal template here. Again, my hints for you is go to our accounting services website. Under JPEG section, go to Need Help, and this is the service provider list. As before, we see the transaction on TitanInsights with the COP, and you don't understand what is COP means, and then look up from here. That means the IT copier services. And if you have any question about what's in that transaction, what's in the nature, what is the trust, and why that's posted to your department account, and then to see the service provider list you can contact. Like if you have question about what's in like PHY, like that's in the physical plan work order. So I would suggest go into this section because you can see even this list just update like today, 10 October 30. And let's go back to TitanInsights. Again, this JPEG dashboard also had the department security, where it is like I have the different assets compared to you because for us we can see all the transactions under all department, but technically you can only see the transaction under your department. So for here, let me just filter my department with the 0005, and then click cell selectors. And then to see all the JPEG transaction hit our department until today. To see background checks, to the PCOR, to the stable, this is telephone. Another thing, I think sometimes we would like to look up for specific transaction. And then to see my suggestion, like you can look up by account. For example, you want to look up transaction under 680A52, 68025, 6025. And then you don't see that option. I think because sometimes people might experience the scenario like, oh, they think that transaction hits this account. But the thing is that transaction might accidentally hit another trap field or even improve program cost. So when you look up for some specific transaction, we try to filter as much that we can, but don't filter too much because we want to see like the big picture of the transaction. So my favorite, I often just like select all and then maybe just filter by the fund. I have different here. And then as again, Whitney mentioned earlier, I would like to export this as the CSV here. I think let me refresh the page. Okay, I think this gonna be give you the properly here to it give you the option to export to CSV or export to Excel. Yes, and I think again the JPEGs properly, the service provider gonna upload the JPEG file to CFS, and then the accounting services gonna post these transactions to CFS. But remember, the Titan Insight is technically like 1 day behind. So for example, if we post the JPEG transaction today in CFS, you're not gonna see the transaction available on Titan Insight until tomorrow. So all the transactions you see today, this is like as of yesterday. So this is all the information I would suggest about the JPEG dashboard on Titan Insight. Another one I would like to mention today is about the delegation of authority that we just call DOA. Let's go back to home and then share folder. Under finance, you go to delegation of authority. This again. So what is the purpose when you're using the DOAs? This is used to check the authorized approval of your department when preparing like check requests, RFI request for invoice and expenditure transfer request, ETR, and so on. So for me, for example, when I prepare the check request or when I prepare an RFI or ETR, I often go here, I filter by check request and requisition. And I would say from beginning, the Titan Insights just give you this is the default setup, but if you look at this filter, you have operator ID. And if you want to look up like the approval of the department 10005, yeah. And then you're gonna wondering who's this is, because of course we don't know like the sequence number of the people. So I always use this filter. I change it to operator name. So this means I know this is the person who's gonna be the authorized approval for my department. And to be ensured, use the person on the active list rather than inactive one. If you need to update the list of your department approval, please ensure to submit a DOA form in AEM. Another cool thing I would like to mention is also when you want to prepare like an ETR, you click both check request and requisition expense transfer request. Here's the approval list. But there's the cool thing on our ETR app website now is if you go from services, farm policy again, go to farm, and then expenditure transfer request, access the ETR app, log in by your credential. And then if here's gonna give you the option, if you choose your approval department, let's see 10005, and then the ETR app's gonna populate the approval. This is really cool thing for me when using the ETR app, just like my tip for everyone's. So yeah, this ends my presentation about JPEG today, and then I'm gonna transfer to one of my sweet coworker, Estrella.
Hi, this
To
is
everyone.
Estrella. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Let me share. Thank you, Jenny. Hello. My presentation will cover the liability account dashboard. This dashboard starts with the number 25 and is mostly used for study abroad programs. Unlike revenue and expense accounts that are closed out at the end of the fiscal year, the liability accounts are not closed out, meaning the remaining balance at the end of the fiscal year will be carried forward to the new year. This beginning balance are displayed as period 0. To monitor funds going in and out of the study abroad programs, all transactions such as student deposits and payments to vendors are tracked using the liability account and not the revenue and expense accounts. And at the end of this study abroad program, that particular liability account must have a 0 balance. So let's go to the dashboard. You click on shared folder, finance, and then liability account. When you click the liability account, it will show 2 tabs, the liability summary and the actual details. So let's start with the liability summary. This shows the summary total of a fiscal year and period that's chosen. For right now, I chose fiscal year 2016, accounting period 12. So the balance will show, the total will show the balances from period 0 to 12. So the beginning balance will be period 0. These are the carry forward balances from prior year or years. The current year actual will show total of the activities for that fiscal year or period chosen. And this will include student deposits, payment to vendors, and refund to students. The liability balance will be a total of the beginning balance and the current year actuals. If it's a negative balance, that means the money collected is more than the money spent. And if it's a positive balance, it means that the program had overspent. So let's move on to the actual details. Since we chose period 12, when you go to the actuals, it will show fiscal year, and then you can see it's between 0 to 12. And so this will have all the details of the transaction for the period chosen. Let's take a look at what will look like if we choose period 0. So, so I chose period 0 for account 250906. You can see that the document source is PYB, which means prior year balance. And if you scroll to the right, the journal date is 1988. The 1988 are just another indicator that it is a prior year transaction. So they are not actual transaction dates. So keep that in mind. So let's look at a scenario when we choose the period without the 0, without period 0. So 2016, 11 to 12 for 250897. So if you see the document source is CSU. By the way, if you choose period 0, you won't see any actual transactions. Actual transactions will only come out if you choose between period 1 to 12, because period 0 is a carry forward balance. So going back, if you see CSU on the document source and the reference, you see S2377. This is a cashnet item code where when the student deposit their money and they show this to the cashier, they will put it in there. So it will go to the particular account they want to make the deposit. And then the journal ID will be CRS. So the CRS and the document ID CSU will be the student deposits. And then when you see a VCH, this is a voucher. And the journal ID APV, these are expenses paid to vendors. Student refunds will also show here. And ASFR reconciles the study abroad program. So once a trip or program had ended, unspent balance funds should be returned to the students. So that's all I have for ASFR, and we'll turn it over to Oliver.
Thank you. Just checking. Does everybody see my screen? Yes?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Perfect. Similar to how everybody else is presented, the budget management dashboard is an available folder. If you have that as something that you can access, you should see it in your shared folders. There are a suite of different reports that are available in budget management dashboard, but I'm just going to cover very briefly those three reports. First one, baseline position budget. You'll notice that the column selectors are very similar to what my colleagues have already presented. It looks very much like revenue expense. You have the ability to sort by the different chart field values, by accounting period, and by different levels on the department hierarchy tree. Again, very similar to how revenue expenses are organized. You have chart fields to your left, followed by a budgeted FTE, which I want to clarify is a number that is in it's a budget number. It's not the number of actual people in a particular department. So I want you to take this value with a grain of salt. If you have any questions about it or would like to consider making an adjustment to that value, please feel free to contact our office. Baseline budget is the same as the baseline budget that you see in revenue expense. But because this report is primarily dealing with expenses related to personnel, by default, the report shows budget for our salary accounts. And this is annualized base salary is the value that we were talking about a little bit earlier, the annualized cost of employees taken directly from HR. This particular report focuses on employees with a regular appointment. So you may only see the salaries for those employees. If you want to see the salaries for all employees, the next report, based on budget all employees, as the name implies, is the forecasted amount for salaries for every employee in a particular department. Similar to, and it also calculates a budget variance or a base available number based on the budget, the baseline budget that's available, the projected salary cost, and this other value called an annualized to be hired TBH salary amount. This is an amount that you, the user, provides to us and is uploaded into this display to represent your accounting for any positions that are in the middle of recruitment, and an expected amount for the cost of filling that particular position. It's kind of a memo only field. It doesn't pull from any data source like HR or from the recruiting process. So if you want to see a value displayed in this column, you would contact our office to make this more of a useful report to you. Or I guess you can keep your own notes about any adjustments that you would need to make to the base budget available. Similar to the revenue expense report, you can drill into the detail, and if by clicking on the blue number, and it provides information on the projected salaries and the just kind of change the the budget and the projected salaries. So I clicked into the detail, provides like the summary information on the top, and in the bottom, it provides the information about the projected salary amounts. The last report that I'm gonna show is the employee salary projection report. Again, kind of similar to the old SEP report. It provides the information for projected salaries through the end of the fiscal year, broken up by month. So you can find that information there. If you have any questions about how this information is derived, please feel free to contact our office. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Oliver. So we have about 14 minutes left. If anyone's got any questions for us.
Contracts and procurement wants to make an announcement about upcoming.
Hey, Oliver, thanks for
You
welcome
go.
to me. Thank you, guys. I just want to make a couple of announcements. I think we've made reference to CSU by P2P coming. Last time I shared the screen and gave you guys a glimpse up at the window behind the curtain. Probably doing that again, but before I do so right now, I want to just make a plug that the reports are coming out next week for the open commerce reports. So I thank ASFR in advance for helping me generate that template. CMP will be sending out to each division. I ask that you please help me close out all outstanding POs. This is going to be imperative as we transition to P2P or procurement to pay. We want to have at least the least possible encumbrances or commitments in the two systems. So if you could pay attention to that report as it comes out and let me know what OPO or agent POs you want to close, we'll do that. I am still continuing to monitor and close out past fiscal year blanket orders and commodity orders. So if you see some of those actions happening in your transactions, it's us CMP cleaning up some of our books. So that'll be coming up, and I ask you that. And then with that being said, P2P, as you've seen a plethora of communication coming through from our admin and finance division, I ask that you please keep those emails handy. Visit our website. We have the P2P website embedded in the contracts and procurement website. What I'm showing you right now is basically how the system is going to look once we deploy it. I'll take you to my homepage so you can see that I have a plethora of different queues and reports and items that I could do that you probably have as a requester or shopper, but it gives you a general idea of what you guys are going to be faced with as we transition to this. One of the beautiful things about P2P is that everything resides here and there's no secrets in the system in itself. So if you have, for example, a vendor that you're looking for, right? I'm going to type in Dell here. The system is so intuitive that it's going to find requisitions, POs, and if there was vouchers or anything associated, it's going to bring those, right? So the same thing, if you have a requisition that you're looking for, if you put in the requisition, it's going to bring all associated documents with it. The cool thing about the shopping home page too is that you get to see is it almost mimics a little bit of our CSU by marketplace that we have right now, except here that we have embedded order forms and catalog forms embedded into the forms. So if I click on general, for example, the way I have to shop now is going to be through a punch-out supplier or utilizing the goods and services form. And won't get much into details, but I'll let you ask me questions. But one of the cool things about the system itself, when you click on a specific form that you want to use, it's going to let you know what this order form is for. And as long as you I guess contain yourself within these categories, you'll be okay. The form also lets you know what items you should not be using this for. So if you're buying IT, you need to use the hospitality form. If you're buying in the direct payment invoices, see the request forms and whatnot, right? So the forms is intuitive and it lets you know. The other cool thing about the shopping is if I wanted to see it from a to view the forms instead of a landing page, you get to also see the forms are available to us. So the system in itself has all kinds of intuitive search tools and capabilities for you to look through. I'll stop there and I'll let you guys ask any questions if you have anything associated with the closing of the POs or P2P in itself.
Hi, Alex. It's
Hi.
Melda from
Melda.
CPFM. Hey, I was wondering, is there a test environment for P2P that we can start, trying to do POs and go through some of the workflows, within our departments? Like, once we create a rec, then it goes to our approvers, and then have our approvers also, get some access to that approving, so they can approve the recs as well in a training environment. I
think
environment.
this coming down the pike for you guys pretty soon, Melda, and I'll let either Caroline or Brenda correct me on that. But we do have, intense training scenarios coming for each individual departments, and we'll make that test site available. I'm not sure if it's ready for you to go there now. Caroline, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, so the facilities approvers, we are planning to add them to the testing site. So you will have access to it. Unfortunately, like the requesters or the shoppers, we are not going to be adding them to the testing site. So they want us to wait until we actually go live. But then approvers, if you are a part of the compliance approver group, then you will have access.
Thank you, Caroline. And rest assured, guys, that we're going to have plethora of hand-holding, training. We're going to have customized, all types of training to make this palpable for everyone. But the more you get to play with the system, I think you're going to love it. It's very intuitive. To me, it's more so than PeopleSoft itself. I love PeopleSoft because I know how to use it, right? But now the more and more I've been in the test environment and utilizing the platform, it really is made for us to communicate and have transparency across the board, from cradle to grave, requisition to purchase order to voucher to receiver. Peggy, you have a question. Hi.
Yes. Hi, how are you?
Good to see you.
Good. My question, I work for the School of Nursing, and we always have a great amount of supplies and needs that are medical equipment and syringes and pumps and IV equipment and things like that. Will that be something that you are in the system is being considered? Is that something that I could actually do from that, or will I still have to go to an outside vendor to purchase those items? Do you know?
No, you'll be able to buy them through the system. If anything, that outside vendor that you're utilizing, are we not using them through PeopleSoft right now? They're not accepting POs? Because if they are,
we usually do our P card because they're not like large purchases, but
okay. So that vendor, that's a good question, Peggy. And that vendor is someone that maybe you should relate to us to see if they're one, if they're already in PeopleSoft, or two, maybe we could work on onboarding them on so they could be ready to be used in P2P.
Oh, okay, perfect. I'll do that. Thank you, Alex.
But good question. And for some of you guys that are asking, the punch-out catalogs are now going to be in P2P. So you'll be able to utilize them the way you have been using them in the marketplace for your P card. The only difference this time is that you're utilizing a requisition for it. Brenda put in some campus-wide kickoff training we're having next Tuesday or Wednesday. I think it is next Wednesday. I believe it is. So I encourage all of you guys to attend. We're gonna show you the system in its glory, and the more you get to see it, I think the more you're gonna be familiar with it once we go live with it.
Thanks, Steph.
Thank you, Oliver.
Okay, thanks. Thank you, Alex. There are no more questions. I'm just gonna plug this in again one more time. The Financial Service Open Lab starts next week. So if you don't have questions today, you can come back next week and every Thursday until December 11 to ask us any questions you have. Let's see what's in the chat. Thank you everyone for joining us. We'll give you back 5 minutes of your day.
Thank you.